Jose, this morning, you unveiled the Kona EV, very exciting second generation vehicle. One thing that a question I had, I saw it in the original reveal, not in North America. It was explained this would have electric, hybrid, and gasoline powered. And today we talked about the EV and the two gas powered ones. Is there a hybrid for the U.S. or is that only for other markets?
No, so far we have decided that for the U.S. we would have three versions. One is the EV, which is going to be the most important. I'm sure you know that we developed this all-new Kona based on EV as opposed to ICE and then transforming. So here the base is EV. And then we have two ICE engines, a 2-liter naturally aspirated, and then you have a 1.6 turbo, which is going to be called the N line. And then we believe that this is really a perfect combination for the U.S. market. So that's how it's going to be.
Is there still a chance for a Kona N in this generation that's maybe more powerful than the N line, or
it could be. It could be. For the time being, already the so-called N line is more powerful.
Oh, really?
The 1.6 turbo is going to have a 190 horsepower.
Mm-hmm.
I think the naturally aspirated is about 170. So you could say it's an N, but we like even more. So maybe we may have it in the future. But for the time being, EV, 2-liter, and then 1.6 turbo N line.
With the Kona EV, you didn't announce any pricing today. I know it's probably soon since you said they'll be coming to market this summer.
This summer, yeah.
But can we expect it to be comparable to the current Kona EV?
Well, we try always to be competitive. We don't want to be discounted to our competitors, but we don't want to be also premium. And then we bring in a bigger car with better features. So probably there will be an increase in MSRP as it normally happens. But it's going to be competitive, let's put it this way.
Yeah, it is significantly bigger. I mean,
Yes.
6 more inches, it's almost another class.
Alpha foot, yes, and then more volume for luggage, which is significant. And then when you get the seats down for maximum volume inside for transportation, etc., it is a huge increase. So you can see the presence of the car is larger, so it gets into almost the Tucson territory. We're very happy with that because we've been asking to the corporation to get a bigger car. This is one of our entry models in the industry, and a lot of young consumers who buy it, they love it, but they would like to have a little bit more space. And also some other people who maybe they don't need the full space of a Tucson or a Santa Fe. They appreciate the car is gone a little bit bigger. And also that we have developed the H-Track version, which is more rugged, with bigger wheels, 17 to 19 inches wheels, to give it more stance as an off-road vehicle.
Earlier this week, we saw a new Genesis concept right across the hall here.
Right.
I'm wondering about Genesis and how big it can be, or how big you want it to be. Right, I think it's topped 50,000 sales last year. Would you like it? Do you expect it to be 200,000, like by the end of the decade, or do you expect it to ultimately catch, Lexus and BMW?
Well, we go step by step. We definitely see the potential, right? And then we have been developing the brand with a lot of focus on the electrification.
Mm-hmm.
So in just a couple of years, not even, we developed the G80 EV, also the GV60, which is the first SUV pure EV that we've developed with Genesis. And then we're very proud of the GV70 EV, which we started producing last month in our plant in Montgomery, Alabama. It's the first time Genesis is produced outside of Korea and the first EV produced in America as well. So it's really special. But also, we've seen that we have way more potential. And this is why one of the main brands which is going to benefit from the big investment we're making in Savannah, Georgia, remember it's a $10.5 billion assembly plant for up to 300,000, and then a battery plant, a joint venture, also in Savannah, 8,100 jobs. And then in Bartow, it is another joint venture for a battery plant, and getting to another 3,500 jobs, which is significant. So the brand that is going to benefit the most is going to be Genesis. We are only going to produce electric in this plant, and then Genesis is going to be only launching electric vehicles as of 2030, and by 2035 we will only have electric vehicles in the portfolio. So do we want to grow? Yes. We think that naturally, just moving along, we're going to get to the 100,000 relatively soon, probably before the end of the decade, and then we see how it goes. We have not established a stretch number. That's not our way to operate.
When you go all EV, then you'll just be aiming for Tesla's volume.
Well, basically, but maybe by then, other companies will be also only EV. But basically, that's we've seen in the market. So we are growing our mix of EV sales. In the case of Genesis, we had March, all-time record March sales. We had Q1 all-time record Q1 sales. After all-time record in 22, after 21. So I think we keep growing. We keep growing.
Yes, it's almost boring. Every time you put out sales numbers, they're always records. So
it's never boring. I'm telling you, it's never boring, and it doesn't come without strong efforts every single time. And we remain humble and hungry.
As you move into the EV strategy and have now started making EVs in the U.S., major milestone. Of course, we have to talk about the Treasury guidance and the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, and its tax credits. Are you confident that the electrified that the electric GV70, it's the 70, right? Yes. That the electric GV70 made in Montgomery will qualify for at least $3,750 in federal credits?
Well, we're confident we will qualify, but we don't know when, right? So now we are assembling this vehicle in the U.S., but then we need to check all the critical minerals and battery components requirements, which is not a very easy thing to do, and then ensure that we achieve the threshold of 40% for the critical components, and then the 50%, I believe, for the battery components, right? So I think we will qualify. The question is when. On this IRA, we have not changed our stance in the sense that we are disappointed that IRA excluded us completely, even if we had made a formal commitment with the state of Georgia, which we announced for President Biden in Korea when he visited last May. And IRA came in August. We've seen how all of a sudden the share of our products have dropped. And then after the clarification of the Treasury Department, we've tried to maximize the utilization of the so-called 45W paragraph, which allows for the sales through the lease channel to benefit from the 7,500 tax advantage. We've done that. We moved from 6% share up to 30% segment share within the lease or lease share, and then this allows us to be there, but we've lost almost 3 points of share in the segment since the moment IRA was. So it's having a huge impact. So as you know, we won't be able to qualify because of the assembly entry ticket requirement until the new plant will be in operation in January 2025. and then the battery plants may be coming 1 year later. So this is a significant impact to our company. So, and then we believe that the consumers are the ones who are losing, because they will not be able to benefit other than lease. We have seen lease representing about 10% of the total segment on EV. So basically, we are not competing in 90% of the segment for EVs. That's a big handicap.
Does it help that minerals and components from South Korea can qualify under the new arrangement?
Definitely, this could help. We don't know yet. So the fact that the batteries get produced in South Korea today does not imply that the critical minerals are all coming from South Korea. There are very few countries who really have the critical minerals. So we need to look at not only that, but also where the materials are processed, and also if we have possibilities to maybe recycle them to qualify, which are also elements included in the law.
I don't want to make it sound easier than it is, but I mean, would it make sense to make all EVs here and move all the ICE vehicles back to South Korea?
Well, not really, because the world is changing. It's not only here, but the world is changing. And in fact, our company announced not only the $10 billion investment in the U.S. For the projects in Georgia, but also about $16 billion in South Korea to transform the current manufacturing based on ICE and hybrid into EV. So basically, other markets beyond the U.S. require EVs as well. So take Europe. Well, the requirements are even more stringent. I would say that in the U.S., even though the European Union decided to kind of postpone their requirements based on a very strong request by some state members, but basically not only U.S. Our objective is to get produced here minimum 50% of all our sales, battery EV, and produce them here out of the total. And as you know, California asking for 68% by 2030, 100% by 2035. So basically, we need a lot here.
Very aggressive targets.
Indeed.
So you recently were added to the board of Hyundai Motor Group. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What does that mean to you?
Well, the job continues to be the same, but it adds even more responsibility and accountability, right? So it is a great opportunity for our region to have a bigger voice when it comes to what we need, how we see the industry, and the things that are relevant for the American consumer. I'm really honored and I'm very proud to be the only non-Korean member in that board. And also as a U.S. citizen now, well, I'm representing the country there, so and it's something very, very special.
With this additional responsibility, I'm wondering, will you also be a little more involved with Kia in this way? And are there things in the way the two companies work that you'd like to see them work better together, or are you kind of a fan of the internal competition structure?
Well, let me clarify. So I've been made a member of the board of Hyundai Motor Company. Right?
Separate from?
Which is a separate company from Kia. Hyundai Motor Company has control over Kia, but it's a separate board. It's a separate company. And then, concerning this, I don't comment on this. So they are part of the family. We share some back office resources as part of the structure of the group. They've done great today as well. So I congratulated my counterpart here, best performance car. So we're very, very happy. And then, but we wish them well. But we are competing in the market.
It's still a no comment brand for you. I was hoping we would start to be able to discuss Kia a little bit, but I guess we'll stick with Hyundai and Genesis.
Great brand, great competitor, great cars. So we need to do better.
All right. Jose, thank you so much for your time. It's great to see you.
Thank you very much, Jamie. Thank you for having me.